Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sta Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhashta Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you all for our Harinam Chintamani class. So we are starting today the 7th chapter of this book called Criticizing the Vedic Scriptures, Shruti Shastra Ninda. So this is the 4th offense that Haridas Thakur is explaining here. Jaya Jaya Gadai Gauranga Nityananda, Jaya Sita Pati Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So he starts every chapter by offering obeisances to the Panchatattva. So he says, Jaya Jaya Gadai Gauranga Nityananda. Glory to Lord Chaitanya, glory to Lord Gadadhar, and to Nityananda Prabhu. Jaya Sita Pati, glory to Advaita Acharya, the husband of Sita Thakurani. And Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, glory to all the devotees of the Lord. Haridas Bale Prabhu, Chatura Parad, Shruti Shrastra Vinindana Bhakti Rasa Bhad. Haridas Thakur said, my dear Lord, now I will describe the 4th offense. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. An offense that denies a person the nectar of pure devotion. So all these offenses, the 10 offenses against the holy name, these are all obstacles on the path of bhakti. Bhakti rasa bhad. So, in fact, I think there is a song by Narottam Das Thakur in which Narottam Das Thakur says that if someone is chanting the names of Krishna and if we don't experience ecstasy, if our hairs don't stand on end, if there is no tears flowing, so basically, if by chanting Hare Krishna, our heart doesn't melt, if our heart is still rock solid, that means we are doing offenses. Bhakti rasa bad. If you're not experiencing bhakti rasa, if you're not experiencing bliss in the process of bhakti, it is not because the process is not powerful. It is because we are doing offenses. We are putting obstacles towards this bhakti rasa. So what is this obstacle? The Vedic, so before he explains why this is an aparad, he first explains what are Vedic scriptures, why they are important for us. Just like if you all remember the previous chapter, when discussing disobeying the spiritual master, he starts the chapter by first explaining the glories of Guru. How only through the mercy of Guru one can cross this ocean of birth and death. How the Guru is like the captain of the ship, and he's glorifying all these verses. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. So only when you understand the position of a Guru, then you understand that if you offend the Guru, everything is lost. Because the Guru is one who connects us to the holy names of Krishna. So if you're offending the Guru only, how will Krishna be happy? Right? Krishna will not be happy. So similarly, in order to understand how this is an offense, Shruti Shastra Ninda, how criticizing Vedic scriptures is an offense, first we have to understand the glory of the Vedas or the Vedic scriptures. Amnaya ek matra praman. So the first principle is to understand the Vedic scriptures are the only evidence for truth. Ekmatra praman. So in our journey of self-discovery course, we discuss this basic thing. Three types, three ways in which we gain knowledge about God, about anything in this world. Pratyaksha, Anuman, Shabda. So praman means ways of gaining knowledge, or it could be like proofs or evidence, right? So we can't understand the absolute truth by pratyaksha and anuman, through our knowledge that we gain through our senses, and through guesswork, mental speculation. We can't understand God. What to speak about understanding God? We can't even understand this world properly through our senses and through mental speculation, right? I remember one time, the first lecture we had in Bits Pilani years back. We had we called Premnidhi Prabhu for this class. This is the first lecture we ever had in Bits Pilani campus, Goa. So it was like an auditorium, a lecture hall, and around 100, 150, 200 students were there. So Prabhuji was giving a class and he was asking the children, I mean, Bits Pilani students consider themselves very intelligent. So he was asking all of them. There was a wall there, right, in the classroom. So he asked all of them, what is there on the other side of the wall? Everyone started to say something. This is there, that is there, this is there. Everyone is speaking. Not one person said, I don't know. If there's a wall, you can't speculate what is there on the other side. Intelligence is to say, you don't know. And learn from someone who has been there. He will tell you. So similarly, even material things we can't understand through our senses and through guesswork. So God, definitely we can't understand. We can understand God only through Shabda Praman, scriptures. So Shabda Praman means scriptures, Vedic scriptures. So this is the only way in which we can understand God. So we give this example, God is like that supreme father and Vedas are like the mother. Only the Vedas can reveal to us who the father is. So he continues, Shruti Shastra Veda Upanishad Puran Krishna Nishwashita Haya Sarvatra Praman. The Shruti Shastra, Vedas, Upanishads and Puran are manifested from Lord Krishna's breathing. Krishna Nishwashita. So the Vedas are actually the breathing of Krishna. When Varahadev, I think very soon is Varaha Dwadashi. So when Varahadev comes, when he breathes, he actually is chanting, he's breathing. He is actually the chanting of the Vedic literatures. So when Krishna breathes, automatically all the Vedas come. Shruti, Shastra, Veda, Upanishad, Puran. So Shruti, Shastra, Vedas, Upanishad, everything comes from Krishna only. So therefore, in every situation, they are the best evidence. Haya Sarvatra Praman. So in every situation, the best evidence is the Vedic scriptures. You will never find that there is some fault in the Vedic scriptures. It will never happen. You will never find that Krishna will come and tell, oh, sorry, I made one mistake in the Bhagavad Gita verse. Let me edit it. It will never happen. You will not find Vyasdev will come and say, there is some mistake in the Vedas. Let's do some addition, revised version. It will never happen. So therefore, Vedic scriptures are called Amnaya. They are beyond this world. Apurusheya. They are not created by any ordinary human being. These are actually coming from God only. Tene Brahmaradaya Adi Kavaye. So Brahmaji, who's the original compiler of the Vedas, Brahmaji doesn't write the Vedas. It is revealed to him in his heart. He hears this breathing of Krishna, he hears the flute of Krishna, and he is impregnated, he is initiated into this line. So therefore, every Guru Shishya Parampara, the Vaishnava Parampara, starts from Krishna only. From Krishna, knowledge comes to Brahma, and then there's Brahma Sampradaya. From Krishna, the knowledge comes to Lakshmi, and then there is Shri Sampradaya. So Krishna is the source of everything. So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains here, the best evidence in every situation. So for someone who's staying in India, America, this planet, that planet, every planet, one evidence is there, that is the Vedas. विशेषत आप्रकृत्य तत्वे ज्ञानयत सकली आमनाय सिद्ध ताहे हयरत. The Vedic scriptures are evidence for the truth of what lies beyond the material world. So, what is beyond the material world? Aprakata. How can you understand? You can't understand. The scientists are trying to speculate what is there in the universe, Milky Way, this, that, but they can't even understand. They can't even understand what is there in one galaxy. They're not able to figure out. What can you understand about something beyond the material world? We can't figure it out through our own intelligence. Prabhupada gives that example of the Dr. Frog who's trying to understand the ocean, trying to fit the ocean within the limitations of that well. How is it possible? So if you're trying to understand spirituality, if you're trying to understand God through our own intelligence, our intelligence will burst. Just like that frog, he started to expand himself. Is the ocean 2 times bigger than the well, 3 times bigger than the well, and then it blew away. Similarly, if we use our intelligence to understand God, uh, I will try to catch God through my own intelligence. Not possible. Brahmaji explains in the Brahma Samhita, Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayo Ratapi Manaso Muni Pungamana Sopyasti Yat Pravadi Simnya Vichintya Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The yogis, they might try to move at great speed, the speed of the mind. They might try to understand God, but they will not even get darshan of the toenails of Krishna. It is not possible. So he continues, Jagadadita Vastu Indriyera Agochara Krishna Kripa Vina Nahaya Gochara. The material senses cannot perceive what lies beyond the material world. Jadatita Vastu Indriyera Agochara. So our senses are material. Eyes, nose, ears, our senses are material. Through our material senses, how we can understand spiritual? Not possible. What you will see through your material senses? You will see material things only, right? So with our material senses, we cannot perceive Krishna. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grayam indriyai sevan mukhehi jivado swayam eva spuradyata. So Krishna's name, form, qualities, we can't capture through our material senses. Not possible. Sevan mukhehi jivado. Only through service. Therefore he says, Krishna kripa vina nahaya gochara. Without Lord Krishna's mercy, one cannot see or experience that world. Without Krishna's mercy, one cannot experience the spiritual world. One cannot have faith in the spiritual world. Krishna's mercy is needed. Brahmaji also, after the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Brahmaji comes to Lord Krishna in Vrindavan and he's pouring out his realizations. And there Brahmaji says, Prasada Leshanugraha, only by your mercy one can understand you. And Brahmaji, who is Brahmaji? Brahmaji is like the compiler of the Vedas, filled with intelligence. Entire body, 4 heads filled with intelligence. And he is saying, my dear Lord, my realization is that only by your mercy we can understand you. When Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and he comes to Jagannath Puri for the first time, he meets Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is a great Vedantist, a Mayavadi guru, a very great scholar. But so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in one sense has read all the scriptures, but still he is not able to accept and realize that Lord Chaitanya is that same Krishna. He is seeing Krishna, he is seeing Lord Chaitanya in front of him, still not seeing. Pashyannapi na pashyati. Seeing, yet not seeing. Why? Because till now he didn't get the mercy of God. So after he becomes a Vaishnava, his brother-in-law Gopinath Acharya tells Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, only now because you have got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, now you are able to see things as they are. Krishna kripa vina na haya gochara. Without Krishna's mercy, one cannot experience the spiritual world. One cannot experience the holy names of Krishna. We cannot experience. So in the path of spirituality, we are all ultimately beggars only. Like Vrindavan Dham. You may go to Vrindavan Dham, you may see different things, you may take photographs and come back. But Vrindavan Dham, you cannot see like that. Through your material eyes, you can't see. anything spiritual. You can't see the deities, you can't see Vrindavan Dham, you can't experience the holy name. Nothing is possible through our material senses. Only when the Dham reveals itself, then only you can see. And how will the Dham reveal itself? When it is pleased with your attitude. And what is that attitude? Sevan Mukehi Jivado, by the attitude of service. So that is why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada's guru, he would tell this: don't try to see God. Because even if God comes in front of you with your material senses, what will you see him? Right? Don't try to see God. Try to serve God in such a way that he wants to see you. When you serve God, then Krishna's mercy will come, and then you can experience that world. So the spiritual world, you can't force yourself. The spiritual world, I think one Sachinandan Maharaj in his book, he explains the knob, there's a door. The knob of the spiritual world is there in Krishna's side. So it's not that you can go and knock the spiritual world, the door of the spiritual world, open the knob and get in. Because the knob is not there on your side only. It is there in Krishna's side. So when he opens the door, then only you will get entry. Otherwise, you may reach the door of the spiritual world. But entry inside that is not possible. Karna patatva brahma vipra lipsha ar pramad sarvatra nara jnani. Okay, before this, there's a footnote here of the verse that we just discussed. The material senses can perceive only what is made of matter. Okay? With the material senses, we can perceive only material things. What is not material, the material senses have no power to perceive. So Krishna is spiritual. How can material senses perceive? Lord Krishna is spiritual. He is beyond matter. Therefore, Lord Krishna kindly gives the scriptures in order that the conditioned souls can attain auspiciousness. Right? So it's Krishna's mercy. So if you have to see Krishna, how can you see? Just like now you have this, you may have some 3D object, right? You may not be able to see it, some virtual image. But if you put the correct type of lens, that virtual lens, you can actually see it. Similarly, Krishna, how can you see? You have to wear the goggle of what? Shastra Chakshu. You have to wear the lens of the scriptures. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in the footnote, Krishna kindly gives us the scriptures. So through the scriptures, we can see Krishna. That is the only way. The word Amnaya here is used in the Vrindavan Sampradaya to mean the Vedas. So Amnaya means the Vedas. So one can understand Krishna only through the Vedic literatures, not through our senses. So now you see how our acharyas have systematically written everything. Very systematic. You see now Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as we read this chapter, we have to be also very careful about how systematic presentation it is. Right? So we just 2 days ago, we were in Gokuldham and Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj was explaining that how a devotee, his presentation is filled with logic. So when the 4 Kumaras meet Prithu Maharaj, and Prithu Maharaj is glorifying the Chatush Kumaras, the Kumaras glorify Prithu, saying that Prithu Maharaj, you are speaking so well. All your words are so chosen. You're speaking so logically. So Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj was explaining, someone who's presenting should present things very logically and systematically. When you present things very systematically, you can understand the concept. And Srila Prabhupada was very expert in his presentation. If you hear any lecture of Srila Prabhupada or you read any book of Prabhupada, even one shloka, the purport Prabhupada explains, Prabhupada goes very systematic in his presentation. He goes word to word, he connects everything, he builds the whole thing. Like in a book reading program, devotees are discussing small books of Srila Prabhupada. If you read one chapter, any one chapter of Prabhupada's small book, you will see how Prabhupada is systematic in his presentation. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the point he wants to make is how one should not criticize Vedic scriptures. Now he's building the whole thing. So he's saying Vedic scriptures are not ordinary. They are coming from Krishna, right? and they are the only means to understand Krishna. Ekamatra praman. It is the only means to understand Krishna. So someone may say, why do I need Vedas? I have senses, no? Through my senses, I will gain knowledge. What is the problem? He says, no, no, there is problem. Human knowledge has four defects. Karana, Patva, Brahma, Vipralipsha or Pramad. Sarvatra Nara Jnana Dosha Ichar. So if you depend on your knowledge, the Vedic knowledge is apurusheya, beyond human, human creation. But if you depend on your own knowledge, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there are four defects that every human has. Human knowledge is plagued by four defects. First, imperfect senses. Karana Patva, imperfect senses. Second, Brahma, we make mistakes. Third, Vipralipsha, the tendency to cheat. And fourth, Pramad, illusions. We explain this in our Journey of Self-Discovery course. You see, even all these courses that we explain are all from the books of Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur only. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining here four defects that the senses have. First, imperfect senses. Second, we have tendency to commit mistake. Third, after we commit mistakes, we want to cheat. We want to hide those mistakes. And fourth, we become royally illusioned. Each of our senses is illusioned. So if you depend on your senses and your own intelligence and mind, you will be fooled. You'll become a big fool, because how can you understand Krishna through all these faculties? Defective faculties, you want to understand the perfect Lord, it is not possible. Sei saba dosha shunya Veda chatustaya Veda vina pramarte gati nahi haya. The four Vedas are free from these defects. So why one should read the Vedas and why one should have faith in Vedic scriptures? Because Sei saba dosha shunya Veda chatushtaya. So these four defects which are there in every human being, and every human being means even if you are a great scholar, even if you are a great pandita of the scriptures, even if you know the Vedas, even if you know Sanskrit, even if you have double PhD, triple PhD, defective. And Brahmaji's example is the perfect example. Brahmaji puts himself in that position to tell all of us that even when Brahmaji depended on his senses, with his senses, he couldn't understand Krishna. It went on a short circuit. So the Vedas are free from these defects. And without the Vedas, one cannot walk the path of the highest spiritual goal of life. Veda vina pramarte gati nai haya. So without Vedas, paramartha, one cannot understand, one cannot gain that highest wealth of spiritual life. So Vedas are the only way. So what is religion? Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Whatever Krishna has spoken is religion. So no one can say, I manufacture a new style of religion. I've got some revelation, and there's a new system of knowledge and spirituality I'm revealing. Sorry. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, Veda vina pramarte gati nai haya. There is no other way. There is no other way. This is the only way. Maya baddha jive Krishna bahu kripa kari. Veda puranadi dila ashra jnana dhari. Being very merciful to the souls imprisoned by Maya, Lord Krishna took the wisdom of the sages and gave it to the imprisoned souls in the form of the Vedas, Puranas and other scriptures. Maya baddha jive Krishna bahu kripa kari. We were discussing this in the first or the second chapter only of this book, where even though we have come in this material world, and this material world is sansar, where there's so much suffering, we are all engaged in this world. Maya baddha jive. We are all entrapped, we are all imprisoned in this world. But still, Krishna is, even though we have forgotten Krishna and come here, Krishna has not forgotten us. Krishna bahu kripa kari. Krishna is still thinking about us, and Krishna is still scheming. How should I deliver these people? Just like Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was sitting in Vrindavan in that small room of Radha Damodar temple. But Prabhupada was planning, how will I deliver the conditioned souls in America and the foreign countries? Prabhupada was planning like this. So Krishna, this is what he does. Right? Krishna is thinking and is very compassionate on all of us. all the suffering conditioned souls. And therefore, he's given us the Veda Purana and other scriptures. Veda Puranadi Dila Arshra Jnana Dhari. And here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Krishna also, he refers to the sages. Right? If you see in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna reveals himself and speaks about his glory, Arjuna says, yes, Krishna, I have faith in you. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Idamam Bhavan. He says, my dear Krishna, I know you are that Supreme Lord, you are Param Brahma, Param Dhama. And he says, and I have experienced it, Arjuna is saying, but not only that, Narada Devala Asita, all the great sages have also accepted. So Arjuna is also accepting Krishna on the basis of the knowledge of the sages. And Krishna also, if throughout the Gita, you'll find Krishna is quoting different sages. Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, no, that this is how Janak Maharaj lived, this is how the great sages lived. Right? So Krishna is taking knowledge from the sages and giving it to the conditioned souls. So there's a footnote here. Here the word knowledge of the sages, Arsha Gyan, means the knowledge the sages attained while wrapped in a trance of spiritual meditation, samadhi. So when the sages are wrapped in attention, when they are in a stage of samadhi, Krishna reveals knowledge to them. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam yenamam upayantite. So Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, that when someone is constantly serving Krishna, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam. And in the stages of trance, Krishna reveals knowledge. So now he explains something that's very important. The 10 root teachings and 9 truths of Vedic scriptures. So this is called the Dashamula Tattva. The 10 most important truths. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has another book only called Dashamula Tattva. And in Jaiva Dharma also he explains, and in Chaitanya Shikshamrit also he explains the Dashamula Tattva. But here he's just giving a brief thing, right? So these are 10 teachings, 10 very, very important teachings, 10 root teachings and 9 truths of Vedic scriptures. Amnaya haite dashamula shiksha pramaye nayata. So the 10 root teachings. Se shruti shastre jani karma jnana char nirmala bhakti te matra pai sarvasar. I know that the karma kand and jnana kand parts of the Vedas are worthless like 2 piles of ashes. Only the Vedas teaching about pure devotional service is sublimely good and the best of all truths. This itself is like, it may take lifetimes for people to understand and digest. Say Shruti Shastre Jani Karma Jnana Char. So he says, see the Vedas. So first he's explaining how Vedas is the only way to understand Krishna. But he says, so it doesn't mean that we pick up any Veda and read. No. The Vedic literature also has a lot of sections. So principally, Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, and there is Upasana Kand or Bhakti Kand. So one should not read, if someone is a devotee and very intelligent, one should not get caught in the Karma Kand and Jnana Kand. Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, Vishayera Bhand. So it's like, it's completely worthless. So he says here, just like a pile of ashes. If you see ash somewhere, you will not even buy it. You will just neglect it. So devotees, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling all of us, this is faith. What is faith? Faith means we don't get carried away even by the Vedas, which speaks about Jnana Kand, Karma Kand. That's why the definition of bhakti is Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Sheelanam Bhakti Ruttamam. Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So the definition of pure bhakti is free from jnana and karma. We were just discussing Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter, when Narad Muni is teaching, is instructing Vyasdev. There he tells that jnana without, jnana means even liberation. Liberation without bhakti it doesn't look good. It doesn't suit a person. So if Gyan only without bhakti doesn't look beautiful, what to speak of karma? So, so Narad Muni is basically telling Vyasdev that one should not get caught in this karma kand, jnana kand. And Narad Muni is in fact chastising Vyasdev. Why did you confuse people by writing all these sections? So people will do all sense gratification and they will say Vyasdev has recommended this yagya, that yagya. So don't teach all this. These are all unwanted, useless things. Uh, One has to give up these desires, bhukti spriha, karma spriha. One has to give up these desires for mukti, bhukti, and one has to focus on devotional service. Nirmala bhakti te matra pai sarvasar. Only the Vedas teaching about pure devotional service is sublime, good, and the best of all truths. So whenever in Bhagavad Gita or any of our classes, when we hear the word Vedas, we inspire people that want us to read Vedic scriptures and lead a Vedic life. It means reading Bhakti scriptures and leading a Bhakti life. Because the essence of the Vedas is this only. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyushad. The essence of all Shastra, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, the crest jewel of all Siddhantas is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's all. That is why Vyasdev, after writing the entire Vedas, he wrote Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada writes in one purport, if Vyasdev, who is the author of the Vedas, he is not happy after writing the Vedas, how will people be happy after reading the Vedas? Vyasdev became happy only after writing Bhagavatam. So if you have to be happy, the only way is Bhagavatam. Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshje ahetuki apratiyata yayatma suprasidati. So only way to be happy is to practice bhakti. That is the only thing that will give us satisfaction. Karma and jnana will not give satisfaction. So therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur says here, only nirmala bhakti te matra pai sarvasar. Pure bhakti, nirmala bhakti. So the definition of bhakti, one is this verse that Rupa Goswami gives. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavratam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttam. So there is another definition of Shuddha Bhakti that comes in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, in which it says, Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. So pure bhakti, nirmala. Nirmala means pure. Mala is contamination. Nirmala is uncontaminated. Shuddha bhakti, ananya bhakti, right? So Shuddha bhakti means sarva upadi vinirmuktam. One has to give up all designations. I'm a Gyan yogi, I'm a Karma yogi. One has to give up all designations. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatpadatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesham sevanam bhaktir uchyate. So serving Krishna is bhakti. So that means pure bhakti, not mixed devotional service. Maya mudda jive karma jnana shuddha kari shuddha bhakti adhikara shikaila hari. The souls in the material world are bewildered by Maya. Maya mudda jive. So this is our condition. We are all bewildered. Maya mudda. Instead of being attracted to Krishna, we are all bewildered by all the attractions of Maya. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one song he explains, just like, when you go to a circus or a mela is correct. When you go to a fest or a fair, you will see some magician who's producing different things, So this material world is like that fair, fest, and Maya Devi is like that magician who's producing different images. And we are so attracted to these images, we are so enamored and glued to these images, we don't even understand that all this is just magic, illusion to the eyes. So we are so bewildered by this Maya. Maya muddha jive karma jnana shuddha kari. After first purifying them with the process of karma and jnana, and thus making them qualified, Lord Krishna teaches the conditioned souls the truth about pure devotional service. So someone may say, why, if Shuddha Bhakti is the ultimate thing, why is karma and jnana mentioned only? Because some people will want the indirect path. There will be some people who will not want Shuddha Bhakti. So for them, ठीक है, at least you are gradually getting purified. Na? Gradually the purification is happening. And probably at some time, uh, through all that purification, if you meet a devotee, a pure devotee, you may get that seed of bhakti. So this is Lord Krishna's plan. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in the footnote, after teaching that karma and jnana only give meager results, the scripture teaches that the pure devotional service is the highest attainment. So it all depends on what you want. So it's not that everyone has to read every part of the Vedas, not necessary. So those who want liberation, mukti, they will read Jnana Kand. Those who want sense gratification, they will read Karma Kand. But those who want highest thing, Prema Pumarto Mahan, those who want pure devotional service, they will leave Jnana Kand, Karma Kand. Because they will understand that this is simply waste of time. Why do I want all this? Right? I just want bhakti. He will focus on pure devotional service. Praman se Ved Vakya Nayati Prameya Shikaya Sambandha Prayojan Abhideya. The words of the Vedas are the best evidence. Pramana se Veda Vakya Nayati Prameya. So the best evidence is the words of the Vedas. This evidence reveals 9 truths. So we discussed, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that there are 10 root teachings, 10 principal teachings called Dashamula Tattva, and 9 truths of the Vedas. So the first Dashamula Tattva is Vedas is the only Praman. We can understand Krishna only through the Vedas. That is the first Dashamula Tattva. Now the 9 other Tattvas, Dashamula Tattva, or the 9 teachings, is given by the Vedas. That means in order to get the other 9 teachings, one first has to have the first teaching. What is that? Vedas is the only Praman. So now once you understand this, Shabda Praman, I have to have faith in the Vedas. Okay? So now one may say, what does the Veda teach? The Veda teaches us 9 things. The teachings of the Vedas may be also described as Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. So these 9 teachings are divided into 3 sections. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining so wonderfully. So he first explains that Vedas is the only way. That is the first Dashamula Tattva. Vedas is the only way to understand Krishna. Now the Vedas reveal 9 teachings. And those 9 teachings are divided into 3 sections. Sambandha, the relationship between living entities and God, Supreme Lord. What is our relationship with Him? Who are we? Who is He? Then Abhideya, activities of that relation. Okay, now I understand theoretically. Oh, I am spirit soul. I am a servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Now, how do I establish that relation? The process of yoga, connect. Abhideya, what should I do? What activity should I do so that that relationship can be made more stronger? That's the Abhideya. And then, what will I gain? We all need that inspiration. Na? Before you get into a college, what will I gain? What will be the placement be? How much salary I will get? We want to know that. So what is the prayojan? What is the goal? So without goal, what is the point in doing any process? Right? Before you do any experiment in science, you first decide what the goal is, right? What is the aim? And then only you do the process. Right? So what is the aim? What is the goal? So prayojan, the soul's true need, which is to love the Supreme Lord. So this is our need. So bhakti is not some time pass. It's just not that you do, don't do, it's okay. It's our need. We desperately need Krishna. We need to understand this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in a song, Amad, I forgot that verse, Udilo Aruna. It says, Ami bina bandhu ar, ke ache tomar. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Lord Chaitanya comes and tells, my dear living entities, Jiva Jago, Ami bina bandhu ar, ke ache tomar. Other than me, who's your friend? So we all need Krishna. Right? So this need we should feel. We all need love in our life. Prema vina vyartha daridra jivan, dasakari vetan more deha premadan. So without love, our life is useless. Our heart is all longing for love. As Radhanath Swami Maharaj explains, that two greatest needs is to love and be loved. We want to give love and we want to accept love. That's what we are all desperately looking for. And that is a prayojan. When we practice bhakti, we will enter the spiritual world and we will experience that great love with Krishna. We will establish that relationship. Brihad Bhagavatamrita explains that when we go to the spiritual world, Krishna will be there welcoming us, you know, uh, at the outskirts, at the entrance of the spiritual world, embracing all of us. Right? So when we all have seen that picture, na, when Hanumanji does that service, Hanumanji takes so much risk, goes to Lanka alone, meets Sita, gives that ring, gives a strong message to Ravan, burns Lanka and comes back. What does Hanumanji get? Lord Ram is embracing Hanumanji. So we should meditate on that picture, Lord Ram embracing Hanumanji. And we should understand that we are also like this, we may have to face our own struggles. There may be a lot of challenges in spiritual life, but then if we do it, we will experience this true need. We will experience the love of Krishna, the embrace of Krishna. So then he goes on to explain what this 10 teachings of the Dashamula Tattva and the 9 teachings of the Vedas are. So I think we will stop at this point. We will continue from text 12 the next week. Anyone has any questions, any comments? Was it clear? Hope not too technical. Okay, if no questions, you all can at least put on the comment understood. Okay. Little technical. Okay. But you all go through it. So every chapter looks a little technical, but then when we keep going through it, you all do your homework. Next time we will do a recap again. You all will get it. You all will get it. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, one should not become lazy to understand certain technical things. These technical things are important. It may be a little difficult to understand. It's okay. That's the process of bhakti, right? If everything is easy, then what's the fun? The Acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada has made it so simple, but sometimes even that simple is a little complicated for us. But we need to be patient and keep going through it again and again. We will understand it. So we'll continue this the next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.